Hakapanim, these are the halachis negea to the kotel. The Yismach Moshe writes in Parshas Pekudei, in the Haftarah of Parshas Pekudei, when we say that the Shechina remained on the kotel, Lo'ilam loizaz hashchina mekaisel ha'ma'aravi, he says that there has to be a place in this world where there is a makom hashchina, because without that, a yid wouldn't have the energy to overcome all of the taivos gashmiyim of the world. There has to be a makom shchina. So there, the shchina remains on the kotel that beams out from there the energy, the ability, the ruchnius, the spirituality that it gives to people. Reb Tzadok HaKohen in the beginning of Dover Tzedek says the same thing. He says the pintel yid that blibes even by the most distant person, that pintel yid, it emanates from the kotel. Because that sense of shchina, of spirituality, which even the most distant Jew has values, has spiritual values which have to be awakened and brought out, but they're there. You know where the radio station, so to speak, that beams out that energy? It all comes from the kotel. And this was written 100 years ago. Before we see Hayayim, how the kotel brings back so many from visits to the kotel, how it brings back so many people to tshuva. That kotel, that's the source of the energy, the source of the kayach that beams out to people. The pasuk says in Yeshaya, in the beginning of Yeshaya, Ki savayu lirais panai. It's talking in the time of the Beis Hamikdash. You come to visit the Beis Hamikdash. Mi bikesh zois miyetchem ramais chatzeirai. So the Rebbeinu Shalom, who asked you to visit? If you don't come for purposes of spirituality, of ruchnius, mi bikesh zois miyetchem ramais chatzeirai. Who asked you to visit? Who asked you to come? So Rashi in Yeshaya, Lirmais chatzeirai, mi bikesh zois, lirmais chatzeirai, acharei she'ein levavchem shalom imi. Because your hearts are not here, not in it. Don't visit. Mark writes that the pasuk is referring to Aliyas HaRegel. 3 times a year where there's a mitzvah saseh to be Ayla Regel. And the Rebbeinu Shalom says, Mi bikesh zois miyetchem. I think a mitzvah, what mitzvah is there? If you do the mitzvah, your heart's not in it, but you're still obligated to do the mitzvah. You go to a Rav. And somebody, Chalila, someone asks him a shayla, he says, you know, I don't get anything out of shaking the lulav. My heart's not in it. The Rav will tell him, look, to shake the lulav, you're mechuyev to. The Torah is mechuyev. Now get to work on having your heart in it. Here, the Radak says that if your heart's not in it, don't be Ayla Regel. Where does this come from? In the Chinuch it says that the mitzvah of visiting the Beis Hamikdash is a mitzvah b'tanai. The Chinuch says a mitzvah tuf pei tes, that to visit the Beis Hamikdash has to be done with the proper attitude. L'man yiru kol yisroel v'yitnu alibam v'pu'ulas hakarbin ha'ma'ir levavais. That the purpose of Aliyas HaRegel is to have a hisragshus, to have feelings from it. Haken yavayu gimel panmin b'shana beis Hashem. He says a tanai in going up to the Beis Hamikdash is that a person should have a hisragshus, should have levava imai, should have feeling with it. Where's the tanai? So this is the tanai we learned here in these psukim. The tanai is that the Beis Hamikdash is built, is given to us with this condition. The v'shachanti b'saycham is given with the condition that it should be in telech b'chukaisai. It should be done for the right purposes. The first time I visited the kotel, I think I was 14 years old. And I remember I was there with a good friend. And there was some American college boys were there, and they came over and they asked if they could borrow our tefillin. So we, suddenly we had pictures of these guys becoming a balei tshuva. So we quickly gave them the tefillin, showed them how to put it on. They put on the tefillin, they posed for a picture, and they started taking it off. We told them, maybe you want to say Shema. They said, nah, that doesn't come out on the picture. They weren't interested. So how does it? They go to the kotel, that's where the Kedusha emanates from. So what happened? They came to the car, they put on tefillin, nothing happens. It depends. You have to be tuned in. You go visit the kotel to have some type of effect on the kotel. It's there. It's available. But you visit the kotel, you have to be tuned in. I remember once when I went to Eretz Yisrael, I was older already. I came back to yeshiva. I went for a sukkah, a ben azmanim. So I have a friend who likes to, a wise guy, likes to shtuch, likes to tease. So when I came back, so he told me, he looks at me, he says, amazing. I went there for 2 weeks. So he tells me, amazing. You can go for 2 weeks without breathing? I looked at him like he's crazy. What do you mean, 2 weeks without breathing? He says, well, you come back, it's the same you. It says, Avira da'ara machkim. The air in Eretz Yisrael makes people smarter. It seems he didn't breathe for 2 weeks. That's what he told me. So first, I rubbed it, but then, you think about it. You go to Eretz Yisrael, sometimes people are so busy with the pictures and the relatives and everything else. You have to remember to breathe. You have to remember to take in what there is. To go to Eretz Yisrael and come back the same person, it's a waste. The Shechina is the Makkah, the kotel is the one Makkah Mashchina. A visit to the kotel should impact the person, should help a person to get closer to that V'shachanti b'seicham, which still rests in the Makkah of the kotel. Agutava.
What's enough for you to who we passing like?